Next up, ESPN Daily. Good morning. Are you not entertained? NBA basketball came back last night, and I gotta tell ya, it was not bad. Not bad at all. Here's your ESPN Daily. Listen up. Why the NHL restart can work. Hint. Canada? Does that say hint? Lace up your skates and throw on your sweaters, hockey fans. Well, at home anyway. This weekend kicks off the league's return to play, beginning with round robins for the top 4 seeds in each conference and qualifying rounds for the remaining teams, as Edmonton and Toronto play host to the Western and Eastern Conference bubbles. On today's episode of the ESPN Daily Podcast, ESPN NHL insider Greg Wyshynski gives us the lowdown on how the playoffs will work, what hockey will look, sound, and feel like without fans, and why the league chose Canada. Wyshynski also shares who he thinks will take home the Stanley Cup. Things to care about. The NBA's bold bubble experiment. The NBA returned last night and it was magical. See what I did there with the Disney plug? I'll be here all week. Despite the relatively quiet confines of the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex, the Lakers and Clippers delivered all the intensity of a Staples Center showdown. The aesthetic was more NBA Summer League than a big game production. Players including Carmelo Anthony, Damian Lillard, and CP3 sat near midcourt to take in the action, and a Chris Bosh cutout was among the virtual fans in the stands. But it worked. There was something pure about the grown man AAA vibe. Or is it AA? Sure, there was rust. However, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, and something George, I don't know basketball, served as a reminder that even rusty superstars propel the NBA product. Prior to that, Zion Williamson proved why conspiracy theorists believe the league expanded the bubble to 22 teams just so the Pelicans and the Wunderkind could have a chance at the postseason. Zion saw limited minutes in the Pelicans' loss to the Jazz, but he certainly made the most of them. There were also the powerful pregame messages. Before the virtual American flags began to ripple and the first notes of the Star-Spangled Banner rang out, Jazz and Pelicans players and coaches were already getting down on one knee. Fuck you guys. Every single fucking one of you. Go to fucking hell. Figuratively. The 3-game referees knelt too. Oh my goodness. So much virtue. Lakers and Clippers players and coaches followed suit hours later. Although the playing and viewing experience is undoubtedly going to take some getting used to, I couldn't be more hyped to run it back when the Celtics, Bucks, and Rockets, Mavs, 6:30 and something, 9 o'clock, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time ESPN, games go down tonight. In the meantime, here are our NBA experts' reaction to the first night of restart action. When the fans are away, the mascots will play. Here's the thing about mascots. They're born entertainers. They hail from the school of love the crowd and it will love you back, which is also the motto I adhere to when performing karaoke, but I digress. So what's a mascot to do in a season in which there are no fans to entertain with their in-game antics? Funny you should ask. We took a look around MLB to see how the big lovables are persevering. Hint, no pants, no problems. Okay. Weekend binge reads. LeBron, the Lakers, and a year unlike any other. How did they get here? The second year of the union between the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James has been anything but business as usual. The season started with confusion and uncertainty as the team was confined to a makeshift bubble in Shanghai, and now has culminated in a bubble in Orlando, Florida. It was interesting, a team source said. They were in a bubble. They started the season in a bubble, and they're going to end it in a bubble. Over a 9-month span, the Lakers were mired in an international situation, dealt with daily life, death, and a panic. They were on the road in New York City the day of former NBA Commissioner David Stern's memorial at Radio City Music Hall. They had to figure out as a franchise how to carry on after the unexpected death of Kobe Bryant. And as the season came to a halt in March, the Lakers were coming off a weekend in which they beat both the presumptive Eastern and Western Conference favorites in the Milwaukee Bucks and LA Clippers. Dave McMenamin examines how, after a failure to launch in the first year with LeBron, The Lakers rode a roller coaster season to the top of the Western Conference as one of the title favorites in year 2. Christian Pulisic exclusive. To say it's been quite a year for Christian Pulisic would be an immense understatement. The 21-year-old winger was thrust into the spotlight and met with sky-high expectations ever since making a £57.6 million move to Chelsea last summer. Now, after a tumultuous debut season in West London, he is on the brink of marking his first season in England with a major trophy, as the Blues face Arsenal in the FA Football Association Cup Final, Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, ESPN+. We talked to Pulisic about how his family helps him escape the pressure and scrutiny that comes with being an American soccer player in the Premier League, how he's adjusting to life in England, how he turned his season around, and the anticipation of his big day at Wembley. Things to watch. LeBron secures win for Lake Show. Lakers number 1 in the West confirmed. As previously mentioned, the NBA returned last night with a doubleheader that included a thrilling preview of the Western Conference Finals, the latest installment of the Battle for LA. In the end, LeBron James came through with the game-winning bucket and shut down defense on Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Have we mentioned LeBron is in his 17th season? Smell you later, Father Time. Classy. Overheard. Guessing is harder than knowing. Dodgers announcer Oral Hershiser after Jose Altuve struck out. Remember when? On this date in 2018, the natitude was palpable. The Mets set the wrong kind of record in a 25-something loss to the Nationals, the worst defeat in franchise history. Perhaps not coincidentally, it was also a record for runs scored for Washington. Okay. What's on this weekend? Friday. That doesn't matter anymore. Saturday, FA Cup Final. Arsenal versus Chelsea. Miami Heat versus Denver Nuggets. PGA Tour. Utah Jazz versus Oklahoma City Thunder. New Orleans Pelicans versus LA Clippers. UFC Fight Night. Brunson versus Shabazian. MLS is back tournament quarterfinal. Los Angeles Lakers versus Toronto Raptors. Sunday. F1 British Grand Prix. Formula 1. Phoenix Mercury versus New York Liberty. That would be WNBA, I believe. PGA Tour. Blah, blah, blah. Portland Trailblazers versus Boston Celtics. Dallas Wings versus Las Vegas Aces. Boston Red Sox versus New York Yankees. Milwaukee Bucks versus Houston Rockets. Until next time, remember, next time I see you all, figuratively speaking, of course, it will be August. While I could point out that summer is about to be over before it even started, instead I choose to focus on the fact that most of 2020 is behind us. It's called perspective. Look it up. This has been your ESPN Daily for Friday, July 31st, 2020. And at first it sounds good that the year is more than halfway over. And yet I fear that next year is going to be just as shitty if this crap really keeps continuing like it is. That's all for the ESPN Daily.